The Harmattan whispered through Ikoyi. A blanket of dust settled upon the village. The air was dry and it tasted of faraway lands. The leaves on the mango trees shivered. The sun, a pale orb, struggled to pierce the haze. Abena, a girl of 10, walked briskly. She clutched her schoolbooks to her chest, their worn covers a comfort against the chill. Her eyes, bright with anticipation, shone like stars against her dark skin. School was her haven, a place of stories and numbers, a world away from the drudgery of daily life in Ikoyi. The schoolhouse stood at the edge of the village. It was a modest building, its walls baked clay, its roof corrugated iron, but for Abena it held the promise of adventure. Inside, Mr. Kwame waited. He was an enigma, their teacher. A shadow of sadness always seemed to follow him. Mr. Kwame was unlike anyone Abena had ever known. He spoke of faraway lands, of cities that touched the sky. He told stories of kings and queens, of animals that could talk, of spirits that roamed the night. He made the world seem vast and magical, and Abena hung on his every word. Abena loved to learn. Each day was a new discovery. She soaked up knowledge like a sponge. She learned to read and write. She learned about the world beyond Ikoyi. One day Mr. Kwame told them about the history of their village. He spoke of their ancestors, brave warriors and wise women. He spoke of the spirits that protected them. As he spoke, his voice grew low and husky, as if he carried a great sadness within him. Our ancestors, Mr. Kwame said, his eyes gleaming, believed in the power of magic. They believed that spirits walked among us, unseen but ever present. He paused, his gaze sweeping over the eager faces of his students. They say that the bravest among them wore enchanted bangles. These bangles gave them strength and wisdom. Abena listened, captivated. She imagined warriors adorned with shimmering jewels, their bodies imbued with supernatural power. She thought of the spirits their whispers carried on the Harmattan wind. That night, Abena dreamt of magic and whispered secrets. The next morning, Abena found something extraordinary. It lay half hidden in the dusty path, glinting under the weak sun. It was a bangle, old and tarnished, but undeniably beautiful. It was cold to the touch, and as Abena slipped it onto her wrist, she felt a strange energy course through her. The bangle hummed on Abena's wrist. It felt oddly familiar, as if it belonged there. It was a simple band of metal, etched with strange symbols that seemed to writhe and shift before her eyes. Abena couldn't explain it, but she felt a connection to the bangle, a sense of destiny. Excited to show her teacher, Abena rushed to school. She burst into the classroom, her hand outstretched. "Mr. Kwame, look what I found!" Mr. Kwame froze. His eyes, usually filled with a distant sadness, widened in shock. He stared at the bangle, his face ashen. He looked terrified. Where did you find that?" he stammered, his voice barely a whisper. Abena, taken aback by his reaction, explained how she had found the bangle on the path. Mr. Kwame listened intently, his gaze never leaving the bangle. When she finished, he took a deep breath and ran a hand over his face. "Abena," he said, his voice trembling. "This bangle." "It is not what it seems. It holds a powerful magic, a magic that could be dangerous." Section 4. The Weight of a Lost Soul. Fear flickered in Abena's heart, but it was quickly replaced by curiosity. Mr. Kwame's reaction had only deepened the mystery. What was it about the bangle that so frightened him? What secrets did it hold? Mr. Kwame, seeing the determined look in his student's eyes, sighed. He knew he couldn't keep the truth from her any longer. With a heavy heart, he began to share his story, a story of love, loss, and the enduring power of the spirit world. He told Abena about his twin brother, Kwame, who had died many years ago. He spoke of their bond, their shared love for their village and its ancient traditions. He described Kwame's prized possession, a bangle identical to the one Abena had found. Kwame was wearing the bangle when he passed, Mr. Kwame said, his voice choked with emotion. It was stolen from his grave. Without it, his spirit cannot find peace. Abena listened, her heart heavy with sympathy. She understood now the depth of Mr. Kwame's sadness. It was the grief of a brother unable to mourn, haunted by the loss of his other half. Section 5. A Child's Resolve. Abena's young mind struggled to grasp the concept of a lost soul, yet she felt a surge of empathy for her teacher, for the brother he had lost, for the spirit trapped between worlds. She knew she had to help. "Mr. Kwame," Abena said, her voice small but firm, "we need to find the other bangle." Mr. Kwame looked at her, surprised by her determination. He had expected fear, perhaps even revulsion at his story. Instead, he saw compassion and a spark of something rare and powerful, belief. "But Abena," Mr. Kwame said, "the other bangle, it was said to be lost forever, stolen by men who sought to exploit its power." "We can find it," Abena insisted, her voice unwavering. "The spirits will guide us." Mr. Kwame hesitated, torn between hope and fear. Could they really find the missing bangle after all these years? Could they finally lay his brother's spirit to rest? He looked at Abena, at her innocent face, her eyes shining with conviction. And in that moment, he decided to trust her, to trust the spirits, and to trust the impossible.
Skip, skip, skip to my beat, and your heart skip to my beat, baby. Nakubembeleza. Will you skip to my beat, and your heart skips to my beat, baby. Nakubembeleza.